Welcome, comic book fans, to another episode of Slideshow Reviews, hosted by Geekality. It's October the 27th, 2013. Alright, first up for this week's reviews is Judge Dredd issue 12. Now, the tone of Judge Dredd issue 12 was certainly different than the comics I'm used to. What seemed like a surefire dystopian sci-fi action story was filled with a lot of odd and very grim jokes, most of which seemed to fall flat. The story seemed very fragmented, mainly because I was coming into this arc at the end of Judge Dredd's encounter with the Angel Gang, and well into his sojourn into the Cursed Earth. The quick recap on page 16 catches up the reader enough to make sense of everything, but it still feels like there isn't enough story in this issue. It's almost as if it's a teaser of a television series instead of an actual episode. The illustrations and coloring styles convey the quirky mood and grim setting of Dredd nicely, though fans of more detailed work may find this comic lacking. All things considered, the illustrative and coloring job on Dredd was certainly my favorite part of the issue. The team makes even seeing the world through someone's nostrils a memorable experience. If you're a fan of Dredd comics, then you know what to expect as far as tone goes. Content-wise, this issue may disappoint. If you only know Dredd from that great adaptation starring Carl Urban, then you may want to steer clear of this issue and the entire series. That film and this comic are worlds apart from each other. In conclusion, if you're a Dredd fan, then this is a must for you. If you're new to the comics, then this isn't the jumping on point for you. I give it a pass. Our last review for this week is Shahrazad by Big Dog Inc., for which we have both a preview and the first issue of the series. Now, the preview for Shahrazad is mainly a collection of splash pages with some pages full of text in the end that describe the company's mission statement as far as that series goes. But it's really just eye candy. So if anyone wants to pick it up, that's the reason to do it. There are a lot of really beautiful drawings to look at. So, it's something to whittle away the time, I guess, if you're stuck in traffic. Now, as far as issue 1 goes, Shahrazad suffers from the same flaw as Judge Dredd issue 12, in that it felt more like a teaser of an episode than the episode itself. There just wasn't enough story there to justify 22 pages, and you're going to fly right through this issue, not even know where the hell the 22 pages were. You're going to wonder where the time went. It's just going to go by very quickly, and you're going to be left disappointed in the end. The best thing about this issue is definitely the illustrations and the coloring by the pair of Mike Crome and Nye Ruffino. They blend their talents perfectly to create some very beautiful images, especially on the splash pages. They do a wonderful job on the splash pages, and the fantasy elements of the story definitely lend to the pair's strengths. Now, I only wish that everything was as gorgeous as the splash pages because, to be honest, Mike seems to gloss over facial expressions a lot in this issue in favor of more detailed backgrounds, which is a shame. As far as the story goes, there really was no story in this issue. The best thing about it is the concept. This world-spanning, this story that seems to span the history of the world and just blends multiple genres together. We have a little bit of fantasy, a little bit of science fiction. We have a little bit of swashbuckling. It's all very, very unusual, and it didn't seem to click in this episode at all. Felt like it was just mismatched together, kind of like a Frankenstein of a comic book. But it does seem to exude this potential for some really good stories later on down the road. And the pair of Chrome and Ruffino seem to really enjoy working with all the fantasy elements. So it's fun to watch them draw all these crazy things that the writers are telling them to put on the page. But aside from that, aside from the great artwork and the potential for some interesting stories down the road, I really don't see a reason why you should pick up issue 1. It felt really more like a teaser than an actual issue. And, well, I guess if you're a fan of pretty pictures, then you should definitely pick it up. If you're a fan of grim fairy tales, you absolutely should pick this up. It'll be right down your alley. If you're just tired of the superhero fare that you're getting from the big two and you want something different, this is definitely different, so you should give it a try. I have to warn parents though, there's a lot of TNA in this comic, similar to Grim Fairy Tale comic books, so be careful. This is not for kids. I'd recommend it for teenagers and up, so keep that in mind. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Slideshow Reviews. Be sure to tune in next week as I look to review things from the big two, the non-big two, superheroes, fantasy, sci-fi, and everything in between. Give us a like if you like this, and subscribe if you want to follow up. And also check out everything else we have going on SageTube and thegeekality.com, the home for all things geek.